Hey, this is Attila, and you're listening to Movie Prosecutioners. Let's go. Okay, so today I'm gonna talk about one of the most popular movies of all time. I'm gonna talk about The Matrix. The Matrix from the Wachowski brothers, now Wachowski sisters, was created in 1999. And probably if you ever have seen Simpsons or Family Guy or any of these series, there will be a series about the importance of the Matrix and jokes about that. It dominated the early 2000 pop culture so hardcore, it's crazy. But what is The Matrix about? The Matrix is a movie where a hacker, is seeing the real world, because the whole world that we have is a simulation created by the machines to use us as power plants because our brain are generating energy. And the Matrix is this simulation that we are living in. And obviously there have been a billion videos, a billion podcasts about this subject. But what I want to tackle with this episode is, why should we care about living in a simulation? And to be more exact, why should we not care if we live in a simulation? So to do that, I want to talk about an idea. The idea is that we live in which kind of reality do we live? And I want to separate the subjective and objective reality. So objective reality is what we can see outside of our perception, what we can estimate outside of our perception, to be more exact, because basically the brick wall that is 200 meters from here, I cannot see, but I have seen before, and I estimate it's still standing there. And it's there without me seeing it. It's not dependent on the senses that I have right now. It's just dependent on my estimation, on calculation. It's like independent of my perception. Also, certain fishes in the ocean I cannot see. Maybe never humans have seen them, but we know them by calculations, by certain figures or estimations. And so we could go there and see them for ourselves, even though we never have seen this exact fish. So objective reality is what is existing not beyond, but independently of human perception. And then we have subjective reality. Subjective reality is what is within our personal perception. So to make an example like the brick wall, now for subjective reality is like rain. So we feel rain, and maybe there's one person, when he's standing outside and the rain is coming down on his face, he's feeling like this ultimate pleasure. And some people will be very angry about the rain because they cannot go out and play football outside. Like the perception on how we feel about something, for example, that's subjective reality. What we have to think about here, and what is really important, is like subjective reality. Basically everything is subjective, because every aspect, also our calculations about things that are not in our sight or capable, that we are not capable of sense ourselves, also these kind of things are based on what we can calculate. So in somewhat way, this is also subjective for humankind, like subjective for the senses that we actually have ourselves. So to make an example, maybe there's a sense, like we can touch, we can feel, we can hear, but maybe there's a sense we would need to really understand the whole picture of the universe. But we don't know, and we probably can never estimate these parts, because it's beyond of our perspective, beyond of our perception of reality. And here there's a really interesting part. In the Matrix, basically no one of these human beings is capable of seeing that he's part of a simulation. But the important question here is, do they still care about what's happening to them? And even if they would know this is a simulation, would they still care for the people that are around them? Would they still care for what is happening in there? And I want to make a somewhat silly example myself. I played computer games when I was little, and I played a lot of computer games when I was little. And I cared about like the simulation that was presented to myself, about the characters that were written by somebody else that were not real human beings. I cared about their like where they go to, what they do. And the same thing is about movies. You cannot watch a movie where you don't care about the main characters, where you don't accept that the main characters are playing a role. So basically, we have to accept an illusion and put meaning into what happens to characters that are not really existing. And I think this is a fascinating thing, because that means even though we know something is an illusion, we still care. And this is something that The Matrix is not really showing. The Matrix, the movie, The Matrix, is giving one reality instead of another one. The Matrix is never doubting reality for real. The Matrix is just doubting the reality that you live in right now, not in general every reality. The new reality is a fact. It's a fact that the machines overthrown humans, and we never ask this question again if maybe this is a simulation as well. But I want to give an interesting example for a simulation that we all accept in our lives and which is not a real like objective factor. You know, like an example that I often like to make is the legal system. Why is the legal system not like fact reality, and why is it fact reality? It's because we all accept that we are under the system and we are gonna get prosecuted if we are not accepting the system. But if everybody in human society, or even like everybody in one state, would not believe in one certain law, it would not be applied and would not existing for us. It would not make a challenge or a burden or a convenience or an inconvenience anymore, because nobody would believe in it. It's a simulation, an idea we created ourselves, and we accept that's existing, we put meaning into it, and it really changes the life of billion of people. Law system changes the life of billion of people, even thought if we don't believe in it, it wouldn't exist anymore. And so the really question is not if we're living in a simulation or not. It is more like, do we believe in it, and do we accept it, and do we put meaning into it? These questions are far more important, because in so many ways we live with illusion the whole fucking time. Like, we live in illusions all the time, and we have to like accept like, okay, do we want that? Do we accept that? Do we see something meaningful in there? So we have to ask ourselves, in which way do we care, or why do we care about something? So it's not about if it's a solution or simulation or not. It's about if we care about what is presented to us or not. And now we have to ask, why do we care about what is presented or not? And there's something I came up with, an idea. I was thinking a lot in my life why people like Jeff Bezos or other billionaires are so like chill about their lives. Why do they don't have like all this moral problem with labor exploitation and stuff like that? Why do they sleep quietly and nice? And I thought about this a lot, and I was thinking like, it's about the feedback that they actually receive. Like, we all kind of a sum of all the input factor we have in our lives. It's our genome pool, it's our education, it's, I don't know if we had like bad encounters or not. All these things form us. But imagine if someone is only getting positive feedback even thought he's doing wrong all the time. And that's why maybe he's doing good for a few people. So maybe Jeff Bezos is very nice to his wife, to his children, or to his ex-wife, or whatever. And that's why he has not the negative feedback of what he should receive for what he has to be responsible for. And that's kind of a thing about what we care. We care about the things that we actually get feedback from. So we care about the wife, we care about the child, we care about our friends, like people who actually have influence in us and say like this is good, this is wrong, and so on and so on. So we care about feedback, and obviously we have to think if this is like real feedback or not real feedback. So basically we ask again if this is a simulation or not. But if we accept, even thought like this is maybe not a friend with a very like good, interesting, like, I don't know, maybe it's a friend who has not always the best solutions, but we still care about his opinion. So maybe even this is a simulation of some sort, but we still take it seriously because maybe there's information that we need. Maybe a movie, like we know it's like characters, like it's a simulation of characters, but maybe we can draw information out of this that are important to us. So we do care about feedback that is given to us, input factors that we receive with our brain. And yeah, I don't know, I think I don't really care if I'm in a simulation or not. I do care about the things I do care, and I care about things that gives feedback to me. So this is a nice point. Please give feedback to this episode. But in general, it's up to everybody to decide on their own if this is actually an important part to their life, to think about if they're in a simulation or not. Can I actually go out of the simulation that they live in? Can I go out of certain environmental factors that really are like guiding their lives, or like are so impactful that they want to change that? And there's a question of how far is the simulation that we have of ourselves is going. And we can also ask ourselves if all what we see isn't just a simulation, because everything is the interpretation of our brain of the input factors that we can have with our senses. So in general, the whole thing that you live in is already an illusion, a creation of certain factors together in your brain, which creates a picture and thoughts and ideas and all the stuff that's around that. And that's the real crazy part for me. Like, okay, already everything is an illusion. It's based on the senses. Just think about it. If one of our senses would not exist, we would see the world in a different way. Maybe if we couldn't see, everything would depend on our ears. Maybe we would not know what clouds are because we don't care. We just have this as a data that is like showing when it's raining. But we don't have an idea of clouds. We wouldn't have art about clouds. We wouldn't have like a Hayao Miyazaki movie, or I don't know, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Like maybe we wouldn't know what rainbows are, because we are not visual people if we couldn't see. So if parts of the general acceptance of factors, or if parts of our senses would get lost or would be added to our conscious, then society would change. The illusion would change. So I don't really want to say that society and perceptions are always illusions, because you can also hallucinate, and this is kind of far away from the objective reality. So the big question is, maybe there is an objective reality that is beyond human senses, but we would never really know if there's not more to it, because we just have what we have, and it's pretty certain that we never have more senses than we have right now. But you never know, and maybe one day people will correct me and say like, okay, we can actually add senses and now the world is making more sense. I would look forward to that. That would be really interesting. But so far so good. Matrix, there was a lot of movies I could choose for this topic, but Matrix is so interesting because it's so much not asking the question about reality itself. For example, a good example about this, but a lot more niche, would be Ghost in the Shell. There you ask yourself all the time, okay, who am I? How am I? And stuff like that. There's like the question about what is reality really going crazy. But in the Matrix, it's interesting because it's so much living in an illusion, even if they live in the real world. And Matrix, even though I'm criticizing this here a lot, Matrix is an incredible movie, and you should watch Matrix if you have the opportunity and never have watched that before, because it puts open like a certain idea of what could be that you can ask yourself questions about. And I think it's always good to ask the right questions in life and to get further with what you're thinking about and what you want in your life, and so on and so on. And I think a good movie is always provoking thoughts. And for sure, Matrix did it. And Matrix did it, not only it's thought-provoking, but it's also like cool action. It's like some really great actors, and like the whole like, I don't know, the whole way how it was filmed is just so revolutionizing that I really love this movie. And yeah, you should watch Matrix. And I think that's it for me today. I really hope you were interested in what I had to say about subjective and objective reality, and I hope you stay tuned for the next episode. See you then, see you there, and bye.